Welcome back to the channel. In this video I'll be discussing the ignition switch changes made by ACDelco to the one on the right there, the one with the gray cover, which is part number D as in David, 1426D as in David, or GM part number 15242754. The one on the left is the original equipment ignition switch supplied in many of the GM vehicles in the early and mid 2000s, including the Chevrolet SSR, GMC Envoy, Chevy Trailblazer, and various trucks. A large number of GM vehicles included this ignition switch, and as many Chevy SSR owners have found, it has been the root cause to very bizarre electrical behavior on their vehicles. So we'll go through why it's important to replace your ignition switch with the gray version when you have a problem, or you may proactively want to replace the ignition switch with the updated version. And after the introduction segment, I'll go through the internal components, show you how the switch operates and how it's critically important to get the gearing aligned correctly in the lock cylinder assembly to make sure you don't have any unexpected battery drain. So thanks for coming back to the channel. Now let's get into it. Please review the automotive information, repair, and modification guidelines on this screen. Seek the advice of a repair professional if you're unsure how to perform any repair or modification safely and correctly. All repairs and modifications are performed at your own risk. I've removed the covers from both ignition switches, and again the one on the left is the original equipment switch supplied by GM in most vehicles in the mid-2000s, and again has the black plastic covers on both sides. And then the one on the right here is the updated version from ACDelco as a replacement part. It was also installed in various vehicles as the update became available in the late 2000s on some production vehicle lines. So depends on when your vehicle was produced. You may have the updated switch already, but most early 2000s did not. They had this version here. Now both switches are pretty much the same visually. If you take a look at them here, again, the gray cover is the indication externally to the updated version. I've also modified this particular switch for some demonstration purposes here, but we'll get back to that in just a moment. But there's two circuits on this side of the switch, and then of course there are three circuits here. And what happens is these are spring-loaded tabs that have contact pads on them. Let's see if we can get that in better focus. And this round contact pad will then, when allowed to make contact with the center portion of the switch, there's a square pad here that it makes contact with, and that is what completes the circuit. What allows that to happen is this metal pin here is allowed to move in and out based on the position of the lock cylinder. So as you rotate that, depending on the position of the lock cylinder and when it's appropriate for that one to make contact, that pin will be retracted and the spring tension on this tab will push it in and then allow the two contact pads to make contact to complete the circuit. Now what will happen though is corrosion would build up on these, or some people will call it burning, or they get burnt, and you can see there's a slight blackness on that particular contact pad, and then there's a little bit there. So this one's not that, it was actually functional when I removed it, but apparently there are very bad examples of this being quite burnt. So that was the problem causing a lot of warranty issues for GM, and the revision of the ignition switch took place by ACDelco. So that's what's in here is the updated version. Again, it looks pretty much the same, except the contact metal here and here has been changed to tungsten based on the information I've received to date. The fact it was changed to tungsten reduced the corrosion or burning factor of it, allowing the voltage that goes through that particular contact point to reach its destination. Not all voltage or power goes through the ignition switch, but a large number of important control circuits are powered, or the fact that the power is supplied to them is critically important to receive the right level of power so that they operate correctly. And with the corrosion or burning of these contacts, the power supplied to those circuits, such as the engine control module or to the starter relay, various circuits that are powered by the accessory or run position, just won't get the proper voltage, and odd behavior would occur. As many SSR owners can attest to, that has been the case. I mean, there are other causes for some electrical issues, but one of the main causes for an SSR to have electrical issues was this particular ignition switch type. So when you switch the ignition switch, it's important to get the updated version with the gray cover. And with the gray cover, make sure that's a recent production version of it. There are a few of these that were bad from ACDelco. Not every part's perfect. You can't expect that, but hopefully near 100% would be great. And most of the time, these are just fine. I have, though, observed a bad new version of the gray switch personally. So just make sure you have tested the vehicle after you install it before you don't install it and then go off on a trip without testing your vehicle. Just keep that in mind. The gearing of the ignition switch or aligning of the gear is the important factor when it comes to installing a new ignition switch. Now in this particular case, I've got the new switch here in the fully off position. So this is like you've turned the ignition key to the off position and all the contacts are broken here. The pins are pushing them out on both the 2 on that side and the 3 on that side. Now what will occur is if someone doesn't properly align the gearing, is the contact here, I believe it's in the middle here, if you let it get off by a tooth or two, this middle one makes contact. But this, I believe there's one more here. If I go to the full accessory position, let's go the right direction. Full accessory position, that one makes contact, and that one makes contact. But if I go back part way, see that one comes off by being pushed off by the pin, but this one's still making contact. So if you don't have the proper tooth alignment here, you can be off by a tooth or two, and when you're in the fully off position by the lock cylinder, you're still making contact here and power is still being supplied to certain circuits in the vehicle. So it's critically important when you replace the ignition switch that you align the tooth gearing here on the lock cylinder gear and this gear correctly. Before you remove the original ignition switch, make sure you put a piece of painter's tape, let's say, on the steering column and mark where the off, accessory, run positions are, so that when you install the new ignition switch, you can confirm that those are identically aligned to where they were before. Now let's go through this a little bit here. The off position is a long range here of travel on this gear, and that's where the being off by a tooth or two is the problem. There's no fully off position with a notch in the gearing. There's a notch in the accessory position, and then there's the run position, and then there's a spring-loaded action for the start position. But there's not a marked or notched position for the off position here on this. So make sure that you put it into the accessory or run position before you remove it, and then when you install the switch, make sure you put the new switch in that same position. So again, here's like fully off, but again, the wide range. So go to accessory, which notches, or run, and then install the switch and make sure the corresponding mark on your steering column for your lock cylinder is in alignment. That way you have a 100% guarantee of getting it aligned correctly. So hopefully you found this video helpful. If you check out the description section, you'll find links for the various information and part information that I've included in this video. And if you like the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more information like this for your vehicle maintenance on your Chevrolet SSR, GMC Envoy, and Chevy Trailblazer, or any other vehicle made by GM with this kind of part. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, smash that like button. If this is the first time you stop by the channel, please click the subscribe button to the right. It's free. Click that bell notification to get notified when I upload new videos. Follow Retro Car Guy 530 on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. Thanks for coming to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.